You know, sometimes football can be used to promote a lot of messages and ideas. It's not too uncommon to see football be a breeding ground for political movements. You can see Barcelona representing the Catalonian region and their identity. In Italy, you can also find Livorno, who represented the communism values, or Lazio, who represent the opposite right-wing views, and everything in between. Even in the lower divisions of football, you can still find clubs that stand for a message far greater than themselves. I've covered Forest Green Rovers in a video, a club that represents eco-friendly values. Feel free to check that one out, but only after watching this one. Sometimes you agree with the values of a club, and sometimes you find it quite odd. But let me tell you one thing, football can be weird sometimes, even downright bizarre. After watching the game for more than 2 decades, I think it's fair to say that I've seen my fair share of weirdness within the world of football. But I guess you can never say you've seen it all, can you? Well, you've seen the title of the video. Today, we're gonna talk about a team that's trying to spin the world in a new direction. Pun severely intended. We're gonna talk about a football club that represents a conspiracy theory, and just by reading the club name, you won't have to guess which one. But the question is, what's the deal with Flat Earth FC? Well, stick around to find out about Flat Earth FC, who seem to be more than just a random club. Right, so before we start the video, I'm gonna try my best to respect and not offend the views of the people who clearly deny science and laws of physics and think they're holier than thou. Okay, sorry, looks like I failed already. This is quite hard, but let's talk about football now. Flat Earth FC is the first professional football club that represents a conspiracy theory, at least to my knowledge. The club's logo is a circular image of the Earth, pressed flat on the shirts, and the club's mascot? It's an astronaut. Gotta love the sarcasm, dude. It's a radical move, but the club is bringing in supporters from all over the world. Whether you agree with their message or not, Flat Earth FC is truly more than a club, which is a phrase that's often used about Barcelona. But Flat Earth FC is pushing the envelope even further. Football is the most popular sport in the world, and the club is using it to get its message to the people around the world. Get it? No? Okay, I'll stop with the puns. Anyway, it's quite an interesting story of a former football player who retired at 23 to pursue his other passions in life. Not too long ago, Javi Poves was a promising young defender. After rising through the ranks at Sporting Gijón, Javi made his La Liga debut in 2011 on the final day of the season. That being said, he retired that summer having made that one appearance for the club. In his views, the football industry was all about greed and capitalism, and he didn't want to be part of that. So he retired from football and traveled the world, but eventually he came back to Spain to discover a lower league club that he became the president of. And after promotion to the Spanish 4th division, he decided to rebrand the club as Flat Earth FC, with Javi looking to unite all the voices of the Flat Earth believers by changing the club's identity. And what's a better way to do this than with the most popular sport in the world? In football, clubs are tied to a location and often represent their cities. The likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, the London clubs, the Milan clubs, the list can really go on. But this was the first football club, at least to my knowledge, associated with a cause and an idea, rather than having a specific location. The phrase more than a club is usually associated with Barcelona, but we can safely say it's a fitting motto for Flat Earth FC as well. While I have my own views against the Flat Earth theory, I gotta applaud the club for its eccentricity. But before we talk about what happened to Flat Earth FC, a lot of time goes into making these videos. So your like and comments really mean a lot to me, and it really helps out the YouTube algorithm as well, as this is a young channel. Now the question is, what's going on with Flat Earth FC these days? I gotta say, information was hard to come by after the initial exposure in the media, so I had to research quite deep to figure out what happened to them. At the time of making this, I haven't found any video about the fate of Flat Earth FC on YouTube. So I'm probably the first ever YouTube account to report on what really happened to them after their initial exposure. In the 2019-20 season, they finished 10th in the 4th tier, and they finished 5th in the season after. That's honestly not bad for a club with a new identity. But this is where things get interesting. In December 2020, Javi resigned from his role as president, and shortly after that, the club was bought out by CF Fuenlabrada and was rebranded as their reserve team. That actually made me sad. Not because I believe in the Flat Earth theory, no, very far from that. I was just hoping that someone would make a team called the Round Earth FC and they would have a derby of their own with the Flat Earth FC. Oh, forget the El Clasico, forget the Manchester or the Milan derby. I think this would have been a derby of epic proportion. That's a derby I would look forward to during the whole football calendar, but sadly, it doesn't look like that's gonna happen anytime soon. So, what do you think about the story today? In football, we've had our fair share of clubs that represent an identity, but Flat Earth FC took that notion to a whole new level. Even though I reject the Flat Earth theory, I gotta say I admire the club for having a unique story. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it does make a pretty catchy subject to make a video on, and I really enjoyed writing the script for this one. I'm Football Drawn, and I like to tell football stories with comic and drawings. If you enjoyed this video, check out the rest of the channel as well.